Good morning. This is Mornings with Michael. Trying to play around with the light a little bit here. But welcome to Mornings with Michael for information and educational purposes only. It is your responsibility to do your own due diligence. Happy Taco Tuesday. Go out there and support your favorite taco truck. And we're here to help you make your money work harder than you do. So let's get it started. I need to bring up my S&P 500 heat map. Here we go, a little mixed bag today. We got a little pullback. I put on some covered calls in one of my family's account. She has close to 1,400 shares of Apple. So I'm shorting the calls at 195 and 190. And if there's continued decline, I put on a put spread. Bought a put at 180 and shorted a put at 175. So we'll just see how that works out. Google had a big down day. They're having trouble with their AI platform. Meta is up slightly. Nvidia is pretty flat. Broadcom down a little bit. AMD bounces today. Finally got the bounce I thought was coming. Duolingo scored a big winner in our portfolio for one of our friends. And one of the ships came in today. Not Royal Caribbean, but Carnival came in, big gap up today. And then CAVA, they surprised everybody. They were supposed to deliver their earnings after hours today, but they did it after hours yesterday, and they came in hot. So we'll take a look at that as well. Tesla bounces. At one point, it was above 200. We'll take a look at them as well. And so that's our heat map. Berkshire Hathaway pulled back a 1.5%. Wells Fargo continues to shine. We want to show you this screen as well. Just need to change the view. So this is an annuity. If you're over 60, I would seriously be concerned about this, because could you afford to have a downdraft like 2008 where we lost 54% of your portfolio? It takes a long time to earn all that back. So you might want to think about this. Plus, the average annuity grows 5% greater than index investing. So they do that in a mix of ways. So they go up a step, you do not lose money. Go up another step, you do not lose money. And it continues up. They have a mix of participation rates where you can participate in the growth of the market as well. So if you have any questions, feel free to check in with me. A lot of annuities also give you a bonus from 5 to 30%. So that's it on annuities. Let's share our screen. The window I'm looking for is right over here. And so we're opening that up. And before we move on, we can take a look at Carnival, up a little over 7%. Bought right here before this pull down, got me a little nervous, but I figured I'd wait a couple more days, and then we got a gap up today. The reason I thought it was going to move, got a big move in Royal Caribbean. Right over here, can see it got a gap up over here, pulled back a little bit, and now it's up again today. So that's the story there. Let's take a look at the earnings on CAVA. CAVA is breaking out. or at least attempting to. Earnings came in at 112%. They beat estimates, a 65% earnings surprise, and they're kind of on target on the opening of new restaurants. So I'll applaud CAVA here. We first talked about CAVA on its IPO base. See if we can go back to that. IPO base, we said it was a buy at 42. JP Morgan, about a couple of days later, agreed with me, put a target at 49, and it ran up to 49, up to 58. And when it pulled back to 52, we said I would suggest getting out. Think this is IPO braces fail. Think this one's going to fail, and it fell all the way from 52 to 29. From 29, it bounced around 29 something to 30. And when it bounced above 31.50, I said this is a buy. This is going to buy here. And let's see how that performed. So we said it was a buy right over here. Went up to 37.64 and pulled back 29.66. So it was kind of wild and woolly right here. So we said it was a buy right about here. Moved up to 34, came out with a drive-through salad. People got all shook up. I added some more shares, and then we've been on a ride. We took our profits for 600. We didn't really like that move. Thought something ominous could be coming. So we closed 600 shares here. On this pullback, right in the middle, we took off the rest of the 1,000. And then we bought back after it got to 46.20. And then when it, I believe it was around 49, we sold again. And then we just put on 15 options. We've just been kind of riding that, bought those options at 49. And now we'll see if it can break out the previous high. Go back to the weekly. Previous high was 58 over here, 58.24. See if it can get out of that area. But let's start our usual routine. Let's go look at the dollar index. What it's doing today. Dollar index is pretty flat again. Pretty much where it was yesterday. Silver. Pullback in silver. Continues to fill that gap there. There's possibility silver may move up. We just have to test your skill. Maybe you could buy half here, and then if it pulls back further, just kind of watch. Gold. Gold is pulling back as well, but if you see both gold and silver, this is where you want to buy in pullbacks, and this is probably where you want to sell when it gets above here, and then it pulls back again, buy some more. So we recommend kind of following AJ Monty from Sticky Trades Theory. Sell 10% on a high, and on a pullback by 15%. And just rinse and repeat. Keep doing that over and over again. That's how you'll make money in that. Take a look at copper. Arrow. Kind of bouncing. Had a little bit of a pullback. And we'll see if it can have a breakout. It is a little volatile. Southern Copper bouncing not as much. Freeport McMoran bouncing, hit the 20-day and then sold off. Vale down in Brazil. Got a gap up today that looks positive, 2.8%. BHP in Australia. Got a gap up, but it's on its low today. Can't really move there. And finally with Rio. Real, similar, hit 200-day moving average and has sold off. Let's look at the bond yields. Bonds are up slightly, up 4 cents. Kind of in this tight area. Kind of looks like a cup with a handle here. I'll see if that can continue holding up. We'll see when the PCE, personal consumption expenditure report, comes out. I believe it's on Thursday. Probably be inflationary because the CCI and the PPI came out inflationary last week. So that's the story there at 4.3%. And on the 20-year yield, it's at 3.4%. So it's pretty kind of flat there. Look at the VIX. Need to pull down our screen here a little bit. VIX is, we'll see if it can fill that gap. I think it was 1305. S&P 500 got a slight little pullback of after reaching these highs. That's kind of good. We'll see if it can fill the gap and maybe pull back to the 10-day moving average. Be nice to have a little pause here. Don't want to get too extended. Did I hit the wrong key? RSP, this is the equal weight, is up 0.24%. The NASDAQ pulling back here would be healthy if we could get a slight little pullback up to the 10-day. Our equal weight is up slightly. I was just going to, look for the market health. That's not the where I wanted to go. See if this is it. That's not it as well. If I don't find it, I'll bring, oh, here we go, market internals. So here we go, looking at the NASDAQ. It's kind of trending up slightly. 10-day moving average, volume up and down, down. Short-term overbought, oversold oscillator. Looks like it's slightly oversold at the moment. But it was getting a little heated, so it was due for a pullback. And New York Stock Exchange, you can see it's trending up a little more than the NASDAQ was. And here we go, the advanced decline line had been pulling up here. Now it's pulled back a little bit. See the NAS daily average of the New York Stock Exchange. You can see there the trend is moving up a little more than the NASDAQ was. So we wanted to all kind of spread out, have overall breadth kind of improve. So let's take a look at IWM. Got a gap up in IWM. So CAVA, News, Carnival, Duolingo, these are all kind of popping up that average. We'll see if it can get a breakout. 205.49. As we said, it hasn't had a new high in over 2.5 years. This is a weekly, just kind of bounces back and forth, back and forth. It's pretty broad average, but we'd like to see an improvement over the last 2.5 years. So let's go to Dow. The Dow is pulling back as well. See if it can get to the 10-day moving average. Let's kind of take a look at the news right now. Continues to be a lot of earnings. Fed news, Wall Street Journal, Nick Timiraos tweeted last night that Jeff Schmid, in his first speech at the KC Fed president, identifies himself with a more hawkish contingent on the FOMC. He said, in his view, there is no need to preemptively adjust the stance of policy. Statistics favor continued stock market strength. As Ryan Dietrich tweeted, S&P 500 is about to be up November, December, January, and February. Did you know the full calendar year has never been lower when that happened before? Higher 14 out of 14 and up 21.2% on average. Japan, January national CPI above expected, rising 2.2 year over year versus 1.9 consensus. President Biden expressed optimism about negotiations for a ceasefire with Hamas. So we'll see what that happens. Overall, UK shop prices rose 2.5% in February from a year ago, compared with a 2.9% annual increase the prior month. Now on to sector news. Lowe's breaking out here, came in a negative 22% year over year quarter. $1.77 versus estimate of $1.68, so that's moving up. Car Gurus, quarter four EPS 35 cents versus estimate of 34 cents, and it did not hit. So even though the earnings year over year quarter were up 59% and a 4% surprise. iRobot, quarter four EPS loss $2.28 versus $3.07 loss estimated, and still down nearly 5%. Master Brand, I think we got a big move in Master Brand today. We do. We got a gap up and year ends high. Earnings are down 35% year over year quarter. Quarter four EPS 34 cents versus 27 cents estimate. On to Trex. Quarter four adjusted EPS 27 cents versus 19 cents. Tried to move higher and moves lower. A negative 13% year over year quarter earning. Chevron. We said we met with somebody with Chevron last week. Warned investors Monday that ExxonMobil and China's CNOOC are asserting they have a right to preempt the company's bid for a stake in a prolific oil project in Guyana. So let's see. Chevron is down today. ExxonMobil is pretty flat. And Hess, that could derail Chevron's mega deal for Hess, the Wall Street Journal reported, and Hess is down big today. So on to Archer Aviation. Quarter four operating expense 107.3 million and EBITDA loss 85.2 million. Their shares continue the downtrend. Helios Technology. Quarter four adjusted EPS 38 cents versus 27 cents, and their stock is gapping up, even though it was a 51% loss from last year's quarter. Intuitive Machines, we saw this yesterday. Shares down 29% after saying communications with spacecraft Odysseus to end on Tuesday morning, cutting short mission to 5 days from expectation of 7 to 10 days, and it's down another 11% after being down big yesterday after they reported it tipped over on its side. OKE, Oniok, quarter four EPS $1.18 versus $1.20. Tried to move higher and it's now on its low for the day, up slightly, 0.86%. Primoris Services, quarter four adjusted EPS 85 cents versus 67 cents. Tried to move higher and now is selling off, pulling back pretty hard, nearly 8% to its 20-day moving average. Sterling Infrastructure, Q4 EPS $1.30 versus $1, gapping up. On that news, earnings increased 94%, a 30% earnings surprise on the healthcare. Hims and Hers Health, Q4 EPS 1 cent versus estimate loss of 2 cents, a big gap up and a raise to near its high, earnings up 120%, 135% earnings surprise. We are cheering. Janux Therapeutics announced positive updated clinical data for both of its clinical programs, and their stock is soaring. Wow. 202%. Can you imagine? That is pretty amazing. Q4 EPS on Revolution Medicines, $1.14 loss versus estimate of 88 cents. You would think it would be down further, but it's actually up 0.66% today. Star Surgical, Q4 EPS 16 cents versus 17 cents, up 5.25%. TMDX, Q4 EPS 12 cents versus 3 cents. And it is up 157%. Their stock is up 14% today. On to technology, media, and telecom. Q4 EPS 47 cents versus 49. They got a cash offer, so maybe they don't care how their current quarter is. So we'll see if that closes. 5.9 announces $600 million convertible notes offering, and their shares are down. Nobody likes to really be diluted. Power School Holdings, Q4 adjusted EPS 17 cents versus 21 cents. They missed the boat there. They're down 37% on the earnings front from a year ago quarter. Progress Software announces $350 million convertible senior notes offering. They're gapping down. We know the fact about dilution. We don't like it. PubMatic, Q4 adjusted EPS 45 cents versus 20 cents. And yes, we can shoot for the stars. That is a rocket ship headed to Mars. 41% earnings increase, 59% earnings surprise. It is some amazing news today. Q4 AFFO a share with SBA Communications, 337 versus estimate 332. And we got a dip of nearly 4%. Unity Software, IPO in 2020, had some really roaring days back there, and it is pulling back. EPS lost 66 cents versus estimate 45 cents onto Workday. Q4 EPS $1.57 versus $1.47. It didn't meet the expectations, so it's selling off. It's off 3.26. And my screen has gone silent here. Here we are back. And finally, Zoom Media, which we are recording on right now. Sad that I didn't take a closer look when their earnings were, but you can't kiss all the babies, as William O'Neill said. Earnings are up 16%. We got a gap up, closing in the middle of its range, 6.39% raise in the shares today, 615% increase in volume. So that is a story there. Let's take a quick look at our daily roundup. Raise the screen here. We looked at CAVA. I believe this might be Japan. No, it's Brazilian manufacturer of aircraft, commercial and executive aviation is up, gapping up a little bit here, up 3.58%. What's up 5% today? 100% increase in volume. We've got a few, we got Adams Resources. Just skim through this, up 7.68. Atlas Energy Solutions, big move today, up a little over 10%. I guess they were managing expectations. The earnings came in and decreased 41%. Alarum Technologies, big move up, continues on yesterday's breakout, up another 10% today. AutoZone, gap up and raise at 5.63, nearly $3,000 a share, up $156. Beam Therapeutics, up 25%. Earnings came in at 420% increase. Wow, a 245% earnings surprise. That will get you some moolah. And here we got CAVA continues to deliver on its promises. Carnival, gap up. Constellation Energy, Carvana continues to shine. What do we say about gap ups? As long as it holds the bottom of the gap, we're happy. There we go. Show you one that we cut yesterday because it couldn't do that. Was Square. It fell below the gap and we took our profits. It may continue higher here, but rules are rules. So Dave continues strong. What does Dave do? Well, Dave develops financial management application that helps users to predict expenses and overdraft fees. And this looks to me like a high tide flag. High tide flags, when they create a flag, they go up 100% and they often go up another 100%. So I'd kind of keep this on your radar, see what happens. There's 42 names in here, so we're not going to go all through them. We'll just kind of scan them. There's Duolingo, Hedrick and Struggles. This is big move up. Headhunter. Lee Auto. Gapped up and another gap up. We'll see if that's an exhaustion gap or not. MicroStrategy put this on a couple of weeks ago at 495. Continues up on the Bitcoin explosion. Norwegian Cruise Line, see what that's doing with CCL up. Yeah, we got a big gap up and moving up over 15% in Norwegian. In the food area, Portillo's, it's a Chicago-based fast food, 72 restaurants, gapping up 14%. Their earnings came in at a 63% increase, a 278% earnings surprise. We got Root, continues in the news. Look at Root, it just takes off for insurance. And what else can we got Verve Therapeutics. Got a gap up here. Verve develops therapies for cardiovascular disease. And what is up? 10% on 200% increase in volume. Some of the same kind of subjects. Viking Therapeutics. Big gap up. And some news about some novel therapies that have been really successful. So that's the story there. Let's kind of take a look at what we're doing with our portfolio. If I hit the right key, I can bring it up. There we go. First, we'll look at our Roth IRA. Let's see if I can bring this up and just share the screen. share the screen here. I think that's the wrong screen. Here we go. So this is the Roth IRA. Bitcoin, Bitfarms. I'm not sure why this is selling off a little bit today. Maybe they're at risk with the halving of Bitcoin. LYFT is lifting up today. Bitcoin, BITO is up, and GBTC. So you can kind of see how that is situated. We're up a little over $1,100. Let's kind of take a look at, stop the share and go back over here. Take a look at some of the, I'm going to look at CleanSpark first. This is a leader in Bitcoin mining. It's up 3.24%. Tried to move higher. And this is Bitfarms. Tried to move higher and pulled back 1.67%. And let's take a look at a few others in this. Cypher is down 1.8%. Mara up 0.33%. Hive is pulling back as well. And Riot got a big pullback in Riot, down about 6%. So it's kind of the story there. We'll take a look at LYFT. Little learning lesson here. A little bit of a pullback. Don't worry about that pullback too much, as long as it holds the bottom of the gap. On this type of a move, you want to hold it for about 8 weeks, as long as it holds the bottom of the gap. And these are some of the biggest winners on gap ups. I showed you Square. I got rid of it because it failed the bottom of the gap. I'm happy with that. So this is LYFT. And I'm going to just take a look at some of the other holdings in our main portfolio. We had second thoughts. We put SEMrush back on yesterday. We'll kind of see how that performs. AMD bouncing off of the 20-day moving average here. It's really kind of in a tight area, kind of in a channel pattern. You can see if it breaks out of that. You do something like this. Often people put on a call spread and a put spread. Just I guess they call that a butterflyer. This is a recent IPO we had put on. Berkshire up slightly today. We'll see how it, as it gets closer to earnings, if it can break out of this 52.12. If not, we're happy to ditch it. Qualcomm was up yesterday, is pulling back a little bit today on the spread anyway. So I'll have to see why that is happening. We put on Twilio yesterday. It had moved up yesterday, pulled back, and now it's trying to move higher. We'll just kind of see how that goes. Also put on Monday. So the 50-day moving average is raising. So we think that there may be some nibbling by some professional money management here. Got pretty good volume yesterday. Look at all these blue bars in here after the earnings came in at 48%. are triple hedged on oil. Had a little bit of a pullback here, kind of remained steady, and now we'll see if it can take another run at the 30 and move up. It's in the money right now. PBR was the other oil play that we had put on. We put it on at 18 when it was about 17 and a quarter. So that is in the money. We'll see if it can break out here. Its earnings are in 9 days. In the housing sector, we continue to hold the IPO, Smith Douglas Homes. Bought it right in this area here. It was getting a little volatile, so we decided on a pullback and a bounce that we put it on. So that's why we put it on here. It's only 100 shares, so we're going to continue to hold that. Tesla did get above 200 and then kind of sold off here. So it looks like it had a double bottom, pulled down here, and then pulled down further over here to 175.01. When it bounced at 184, we put on the 190-200. We rolled that up to the 200-210. We'll see if that moves up. And then on 2 of them, we just took off the short side and kept the 190 in place. So on to Zscaler. We close that out on this pullback here. We did have a 230 call option open. So we'll see if that will kind of fill. Looks like it's coming back pretty strong, and I think cyber crimes are still going to be around for a while. So app. Once again, gapped up. We put app on at 45. Got a gap up here. Slight pullback, selling, which is understandable, but it held this, and now it's above 60. ARM, which is pretty volatile. It gapped up on earnings here. We missed it. On the pullback, we bought the $120 option. Two calls here at 120 and then one at 125. So we bought the 125 first and then bought the 2 at 120. And it's hanging in there. NVIDIA. Little man told me to, my 6 cents told me I better buy some right around here. So I bought some at right before the earnings came out. And I believe we have 50 shares there. Found out that NVIDIA was making investment in these 2 companies. I looked at RXRX, thought about it, didn't make the jump when it came over here. Next day, of course, it gapped up, pulled back, and then continues higher. The one we did invest in is this one. It was above 7 earlier, but we're just going to hold on to it. We have 10 $3.50 calls. We could exercise if we so wished, but we'll just kind of watch this for the next couple of days and see how it performs. On to ESTC, which we own the shares. Put on around 120. Came up here, had a strong pullback to the 20-day. So we did add some options that we could convert if it continued higher. We're just holding those as it gets up to 131. I have a tough question. I show you a little data a little later, how I kind of analyze what to keep and what to dish. CELH, Celsius. So we put this on at 57, did a 57.61 spread. and hit our target. So then we rolled it to 62 to 65, I believe. And we did keep a few of the 56 actually. We kept 4 of those open. So that continues to perform well. And Celsius is at 66. If it gets to 67, we may roll again. We looked at CAVA. This is the option we have open on Super Microcomputer. We just continue to hold that. We think this has continued to grow. Meta. We originally bought this at right around 330, right over here. Went up to 395. We sold it. Then we bought the options right before earnings. And it shot up, and then we bought one option to get 100 shares, and then we bought 50 more shares right here. And on any pullback, we added a few more shares right about here. So we have about 170 shares in Meta right now. And MicroStrategy we discussed earlier continues to perform well. And finally, LYFT Beauty is, we had a short 2-minute video on how we handled LYFT Beauty, and it is a beauty. Just continues up and up. Earnings came in at 54% increase. And that's kind of our show for today. Let me show one more thing. I said how we were going to talk about losses. Anytime that an option, whether it's a spread or just a call option, gets more than 50% loss, we ditch it. We want to save it for another day. And anything that goes above 100%, if we have 4 call options, we'll take off 2 of them, make sure that we have some money in the bank, and that's how we handle that. On initial buying, you want to keep your losses small. Recommend 4 to 6% losses initially. You can sell half, see if it'll bounce back, and if it doesn't, then you can get rid of the rest. If you keep your losses low and then take your profits at 20 to 30%, you got a winning business there. So this has been Mornings with Michael. For information and educational purposes only. It's your responsibility to do your own due diligence. Keep after your goals and activities. And if you feel your financial goals or activities could be helped with a boost from us, feel free to reach out in the comment section. In the meantime, go out there and support your taco truck, your favorite taco truck, and continue moving forward.